I'm Mary Becraft. I'm going to be your social worker today. Before we get started, I just have two pieces of paperwork I want to go over with you. The first one is client's rights. So this basically just says that you have a right to a high standard of care and service. You have the right to be treated with courtesy, respect, and dignity. You have the right to be informed of all services available to you. You have a right to review your records by submitting a written request to our administration. You have a right to make suggestions and changes to your treatment plan. You have a right to discontinue or transfer services at any time. And you also have the right to receive care that is specific to your needs despite any physical limitation or language barriers. So I'm just going to ask you to sign that. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, and the second one is confidentiality. Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so confidentiality means that anything that is said between me and you stays between us, except there's 3 limits to it. If you talk about harm to yourself, harm to others, or any type of abuse, whether that be sexual or physical. I do have to report those 3 things, but anything else stays between us.
Okay.
So if you'll sign that, date it.
Sure.
Both of those I'll give you a copy of, and yet we'll put the hard copy in your file here. Okay. So what's your name?
My name is Dawn.
What's your preferred pronouns?
She, her.
Okay, Dawn, so what brings you in today?
I've just been having a really hard time. I have 2 very young children who both have behavioral issues.
Mm-hmm.
I am recently divorced, so I've been doing it on my own. And I don't really have anyone to support me.
So it sounds like you feel like you're very alone, and that's just adding more to your plate.
Yeah, I would say it is. I feel like with my current job, because I am an attorney, I am constantly working. So it's really hard for me to, work, take care of my children all at once without any help from anyone.
So how did your relationship end with your partner? Was it good or bad?
It was a really messy divorce. He did cheat on me, so I was devastated, traumatized, very heartbroken, and he didn't really help at home even when we were together, so he hasn't been around, and my kids just keep asking me, where's dad? And it's really hard to explain to them because they're so young, they don't really understand.
So it sounds like you're very distraught and even a little bit depressed, not only because of the traumatic ending to your marriage, but because of how your kids reacted as well.
Yeah, I want them to be okay. I feel like they might be acting out because of my husband and I's divorce. And since I'm not home as much anymore and no one's really home with them unless it's the babysitter, they aren't really getting the support from me that they need.
Is there split custody right now? Does he see them at all?
Not right now, not until we go to court about it. He didn't help me at all when he was home, so I don't see why he needs to see them at all.
Okay. Do your parents help out at all? What's your relationship like with them?
They want to help me, but I just feel like a burden because they're not divorced. They're retired, and they've offered to help, but I just feel like a huge burden whenever they do that. I don't want them to have to put all of their life aside to help me.
So you feel like by asking them to help out, it would be asking too much?
Yeah, I feel like it would be asking way too much. They have their own life. They don't need to be worried about mine.
Has this whole issue added on or caused any type of anxiety or depression?
I have been diagnosed with depression in the past, and anxiety as well, but I haven't seen my therapist or psychiatrist in a long time, but since it was getting so bad since the divorce, I decided it was time to come in today.
Were you ever prescribed any type of anti-anxiety or meds?
Yeah, I was on meds a couple months ago, but because of COVID, everything turned to online, and I didn't really have time to do online meetings with my therapist or psychiatrist, so I haven't really taken meds in a long time.
Is that something that you would consider starting again, or was that too much for your mental state?
If I I went to a therapist and they recommended that I see a psychiatrist and maybe start another medication, I would. That's actually why I'm here today, just to see what we should do about the situation.
Okay, so it definitely sounds like everything adding up from your divorce to not being there for your kids as much from your job, and you don't want to ask too much from your parents. It just sounds like everything's piling up on your plate and you feel like the world's against you.
Yeah, I do. I feel really distressed. I feel like a failure to my kids. I feel like I did something to make my husband want to cheat on me.
So do you have any type of adult relationships currently, whether that be friends, or are you like looking for a new partner?
The only people my age I really hang out with are the people I work with. Other than that, the rest of my time, if I'm not working, is spent with my kids and trying to figure out their issues.
So it definitely sounds like you have that emotional bond with your kids, so you definitely don't want to neglect them at all, which is it's a motherly instinct.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you just are kind of putting all your time into your kids, so you're having a harder time making friends outside of the work.
Yeah, I'm trying to put more effort into my kids when I'm not working, so I don't really have time to go hang out with anyone. And I've been on a couple dating sites to maybe meet someone, but as an attorney, I see horror stories all day, every day, about dating site stories gone wrong.
Yeah, so it's probably good you have that outside knowledge of what could possibly happen.
Yeah.
With meeting someone online. So with your job being a lawyer, economically, are your basic needs being met, like shelter, food, clothing?
Yeah, everything is being met currently. There was a little bit of a slope during COVID, where I was struggling to pay some bills just because my ex-husband isn't paying child support yet since we haven't gone to court. And my parents offered to help pay those bills that were just stacking up, but I couldn't ask them to do that.
So what I'm hearing you saying is you're feeling very stressed because it's hard to pay your bills recently.
Yeah, it has been a little bit hard. I'm starting to get back on my feet, but I don't really have the support from my ex-husband to help with the bills right now.
Have you sat down and made like a hard copy of a budget, like of everything that you need to spend in a month, and have you like stuck to one?
I used to have one when things were going really well. Then my husband cheated on me, and everything just kind of went downhill. My brain is so jumbled all the time, I can't keep up with getting my kids to the daycare provider, getting my kids to school, going to work, and making a budget, or having time for me to sit down, even take time for myself.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you have a lot on your plate right now. So I definitely want to help you out with that. Are you currently in counseling now?
No, I'm not in counseling. This is the first session I've been to in a few months.
Are you open to the idea of going to therapy?
Yeah, of course.
Have you thought about allowing your kids to go to therapy with you, like a family session?
I'd be more than willing to go to a family session, and my last therapist did recommend maybe having a session with their father, so I was going to ask him if he'd be willing to join me.
So I know you said that previously when you talked about like your friendships, and it was hard for you to make friends. If you had to estimate, how many friends would you say that you have right now that you can count on?
I have one friend. She's been my friend since elementary school, and we're 30 years old now, so I confide in her sometimes, but even I feel like a burden talking to my problems, telling my problems to her.
So it sounds like you're putting a lot of the emotion on you. You keep saying, you sound like a burden, so I feel like it sounds like you're not willing to open up to other people or ask for help. Would you say that that's true?
Yeah, I just don't really know how to ask for help anymore. It used to be a no-brainer until the whole thing with my husband happened, and now I don't really know where to go for help.
Would you say that he took a big hit to your life goals? Like he changed them completely?
Yeah, my life goals used to be I wanted to grow old with him, watch my children graduate with him. He was the love of my life, and then he betrayed me. And so now I feel like the only goal I have is to make sure my kids are okay all the time, and not worry about myself ever.
Yeah, so looking back at you and what you're doing in this life currently, what would you say that your biggest strengths are?
I think I'm a very kind person. I always have been, and I've tried to put everyone before myself, which can be a bad thing. It never was a problem until now. Now I put everyone else before myself, and I never have time to take a breath.
Yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up because we are unfortunately getting near the end of time. So basically what we've talked about from this session is your job. It seems like it takes a huge chunk out of your time, out of your life. It's a huge time commitment. And then your kids obviously come first, and you spend a lot of your time with your kids. But this divorce has taken a toll on your mental health, and I'm sure like you probably have seen effects on your kids as well too, because divorce is never an easy thing, and we want to be here and help you through this and help you get through this in the best way. So I would like to set you up with a good therapist for you, and maybe one for you and your kids to go to together. That would never hurt, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think we're done. Did you not like anything about this session? Would you change anything?
No, I do actually feel a little bit better after getting all that off my chest today.
Okay. Would you like to meet with me next week?
Yes.
Okay, so next week my schedule is very flexible. Is there any specific date or time that you would prefer?
I'm off on Wednesdays.
Okay, so what time on Wednesday would work best?
Probably in the afternoon.
Okay, so I have a 3, 5, 7, and 7:30 open.
3 would be the best.
Okay, so I will see you next week at 3.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Thank you.